We hereby convene the 2018 annual commencement of the University of Maine School of Law. On behalf of the faculty and staff of Maine Law, I welcome you all to this joyous occasion. Family, friends, administrators, faculty, staff, and colleagues, please join me in saluting the Maine Law class of 2018. You are an extraordinary class. This month we celebrated our mothers, and next month we will celebrate our fathers. Even more than you. Today is about all of those mothers, fathers, grandparents, spouses, partners, and family and friends who got us all here today. I commend you for molding and shaping your very special member of the class of 2018. To the class of 2018, I am in awe of you. Individually and collectively. I am forever proud of one singular designation. I am and always will be your dean. You entered through the doors of Maine Law, a student, and you rise today to take your place as my colleague in this most honorable profession. Some of you may recall that I was among the first members of the Maine Law community to greet you in the lobby of the law school back in August 2015. You were destined to succeed in law school. My colleagues and I knew that immediately. What you may not appreciate is that each of you, individually and as a collective, are responsible for my success and the success of this law school. My mother was fond of telling me that I was her favorite girl. I was nearly 10 years old before I realized that I had only 3 brothers. I do not need to rely on such intellectual sophistry to convey my feelings for you, the class of 2018. At this moment, I do hold back tears of joy and pride in all that you have accomplished over these 3 prodigious years. You will always and forever be this dean's first and most precious graduating law school class. You are courageous. You came to law school with full knowledge that the legal profession was under siege. Undeterred, you saw that the values imbued in a legal education were consistent with your own strong sense of duty, morality, and obligation. As a group, you have combined a pledge to promote excellence in the classroom, the clinic, and your community with a personal commitment to building a lasting network for your past, present, and future colleagues in the noble profession, all in the service to others. While it was my responsibility to lead this institution and the people within it, you must know that I learned from you more than I ever taught, and I received from you so much more than I ever gave. I can speak for my colleagues when I say we are better because of you. Years ago, during 1L orientations, many of us heard the following: look to your left, now to your right. One of you won't be here at the end of the year. I would like to co-opt that narrative by saying today, look to your left, now to your right. These are the people who will sustain you throughout your professional career and life's personal challenges. Always remember this day. It commemorates the 3 years you have invested in yourself, each other, your law school, and your chosen profession. I searched to find the right word to describe how my colleagues and I feel on this celebratory day. I landed on the very potent Portuguese word, saudade. Having no direct translation to English, it describes a deep nostalgia or profound melancholy longing for something or someone absent. We will miss you because you let us become part of you on this journey. You will be ever present at the law school, even as you go out to conquer new challenges and blaze new paths. Remember saudade so that you are comforted in knowing that you have a cadre of support and supporters at your law school. I thank you for your patience, your compassion, and your support as I navigated an administrative landscape replete with budget challenges, program initiatives, and the occasional leadership fatigue. It is this same patience, compassion, and support that you will provide daily to your clients, whether institutional or individual, in service to the public, the profession, and to justice. I urge you to stir the embers of justice in your heart, your thoughts, and your deeds, always taking seriously the preparation that is required to do justice. Whether you are clerking for a court, entering private practice, embarking on military or public service, launching a business, soloing, joining the ranks of the information privacy profession, or engaging the nonprofit sector, there is no substitute for serious and immersive preparation. Today's graduation demonstrates your seriousness of purpose to complete a program of legal education successfully. The next gate, the bar exam. You are a serious class, and one I do not have to implore to study hard. I will say this, though. When you get tired, anxious, and even bored, just remember that the purpose of this licensure requirement is to demonstrate to your colleagues that you have acquired the fundamental knowledge and tools necessary to begin to serve the people of this and other states, all of whom deserve access to your talent and skill. Today marks an important transition from Maine Law Student Ambassador to the newest ambassadors of our profession. You are the future of this noble profession, and we applaud you. With great pride, I inform all of you here today that the law school will award 75 Juris Doctor degrees, 1 Master of Laws degree, and 1 Doctor of Juridical Science degree. 3 graduates will be awarded the Certificate in Information Privacy Law. This is the 2nd year of the Certificate in Information Privacy Law and this important program. We thank these graduates for their role in making this important certificate program in information privacy law a reality. Everyone, please join me again in congratulating the University of Maine School of Law, class of 2018. Thank you. Can't wait to sit down. Along with our faculty and staff on stage today, we are honored to welcome a number of distinguished guests to our platform party. Our keynote speaker, Senior United States District Judge for the District of Maine, John Woodcock Jr., our L. Kinvin Roth Distinguished Alumna Award recipient, Hillary Rapkin, Chief Legal Officer at WEX, Inc., Dr. Glenn Cummings, President of the University of Southern Maine, Betsy Tim, a member of the Board of Trustees for the University of Maine System, Susan B. Driscoll, President of the Maine State Bar Association, Professor Anthony Maffa, aka 18, recipient of Maine Law's 2018 Law Teacher of the Year Award, and Rising 3L John Fogarty, President of the University of Maine Law Student Bar Association. I now have the pleasure of introducing Betsy Tim, a member of the Board of Trustees of the UMS. Trustee Tim is a financial services industry leader recognized for building and managing profitable businesses. Currently, Trustee Tim serves on the Avangrid Board of Directors and its Audit and Compliance Committee. She has previously worked as a management consultant for RE/MAX by the Bay, and most recently, before her retirement, as the Bank of America Maine Market President and Consumer Market Executive President. She is involved with several nonprofit organizations. Trustee Tim earned her MBA in Business Administration from the University of Southern Maine and her BA from the University of Maine, Orono, and is a graduate of the American Bankers Association National Commercial Lending Graduate School at the University of Oklahoma. Please join me in welcoming Trustee Tim.
Thank you, Dean Conway, President Cummings, distinguished guests, the parents, the family members, faculty, staff, and friends. It is a privilege and an honor to be with you today as we celebrate what is a lifetime in the making, and as Dean Conway said, today is a lifelong memory for our soon-to-be graduates. I would also like to recognize Judge John Woodcock, who is delivering the keynote today, and Hillary Rapkin, Chief Legal Officer at WEX, the L. Kinvin Roth Alumni Award recipient. Clearly, on behalf of the Board of the Trustees of the University of Maine System and the citizens of Maine we serve, I congratulate today's graduates on your achievements and thank you. Thank you for your scholarship, research, service to the university community and to Maine. You've worked incredibly hard to be here today. My congratulations and appreciation are also extended to the parents, families, teachers, friends, faculty, and staff who have helped the class of 2018 along the path of accomplishment and personal improvement. Many have had a hand in helping those who set foot on the stage today. As a trustee, I'm particularly grateful for the dedication and the talent of the university staff and faculty who have supported and inspired our graduates. A similar thanks is owed to the people of Maine for their generous and continued support for our public university system. Education is an investment we make in our society as well as in our students. Today's law school graduates join more than 5,000 students who obtain credentials and degrees this month from our university system. We hope that many of you will stay in Maine, strengthening our state's workforce and providing new leadership for our communities. We will advance collectively with every step you take towards your personal and professional goals. However, wherever your law degree takes you, I hope one of your goals is to remain connected to the University of Maine School of Law as a proud member of the alumni community and as an advocate for high quality and an affordable system of public education. It's certainly an exciting time to be a new lawyer, and I'm pleased to share this moment of pride and optimism and to congratulate the class of 2018 on a job well done. The University of Maine system is proud of your accomplishments, grateful for this opportunity to have served you, and we're incredibly optimistic about your future. Congratulations, job well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Tim. We are honored to welcome University of Southern Maine President Dr. Glenn Cummings. President Cummings presently serves as the 13th president of the University of Southern Maine. He has a long and distinguished career in education and public service. He began as a high school teacher and taught at both Southern Maine Community College and at the University of Southern Maine. President Cummings has also served as a Maine State Representative, where he held numerous leadership roles. After serving in the state legislature, President Cummings served as Deputy Assistant Secretary within the U.S. Department of Education, and then returned to Maine to become the president of the Goodwill Hinckley organization. In 2014, President Cummings was named interim president of the University of Maine at Augusta, a position he held until being tapped to lead USM. President Cummings earned his doctorate in higher education management from the University of Pennsylvania. He holds a Master's of Public Administration from the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University, a Master's of Arts in Teaching from Brown University, and a Bachelor of Arts from Ohio Wesleyan University. Please join me in welcoming President Cummings.
Thank you, Dean Conway. And on behalf of the university, I want to give our congratulations to the class of 2018 of the University of Maine School of Law. I'm not supposed to disclose this, but just a few minutes ago, I was talking to two professors that you have had, and they said, "This was one of the best classes I've ever taught." And I said, was it because they're personable, they work hard? And they're like, yeah, all that stuff. So congratulations to you. You overcome some pretty significant obstacles. I just want to note one of those obstacles. Angus King, our senator, was once asked if he could have an office anywhere in Portland, where would it be? And he said, in the University of Maine School of Law building. He said, that's because I don't have to look at it. You have managed to overcome the 8th ugliest building in higher education in America. Congratulations. Thanks to the great leadership of Danielle Conway, we share an incredibly close relationship between the university and the School of Law, trying to support each other in the work we do. Today, I'm really honored to tell you a couple things. Of your class of 75 graduates, almost 25% of you graduated from our university, and that means a lot to us. So congratulations to the USM students. And there's something a little very special within that group. We have working for us full-time. And by the way, I tell every business owner in Maine, you want to hire great graduates, hire people like you from the University of Maine School of Law and our graduates, because not only are they going to school full-time, they're mostly working full-time. Talk about a work ethic, and talk about people who are devoted to what they're doing and willing to get up every morning and work hard. I have 3 people that are in your class, Sally Meredith, Kim Sinclair, and Casey Webster, who have worked full-time with us while getting their law degree. Congratulations to them. I'll conclude with the attorney's prayer. May your briefs always be brief. May you litigate without hate. May your judges be generous, and may your clients always pay on time. Go out and do great work.
Thank you, President Cummings. I might have to steal that prayer. That's great. Each year, the members of the graduating class select one of their own classmates to speak on their behalf at graduation. For this well-deserved honor, the graduates have selected Felix Hagenimana. Felix was born, yes. Give it up for Felix. Felix was born and raised in Rwanda. As a young boy, he survived the genocide, which took the lives of close to 1 million people, including many of his family members. This traumatic experience shaped his worldview and his career choices. He immersed himself in translation studies at the University of Rwanda and worked as an editor for the Bible Society of Rwanda, while also serving as a consultant for the British Broadcasting Corporation. He published Fundamentals of Kinyarwanda, a widely used linguistics textbook. After moving to the United States, Felix completed a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration at Western Governors University in Utah. Shortly thereafter, Felix moved to San Francisco, where he worked as a research analyst for the University of California. As a student at Maine Law, Felix interned with the Immigrant Legal Advocacy Project, ILAP, and the American Civil Liberties Union at Maine, ACLU. He also worked as a student attorney in the Refugee and Human Rights Clinic. He currently works for a small healthcare company, and after graduation, Felix plans to start a practice focusing on immigration and related fields. I am pleased to introduce you to our student speaker, Felix Hagenimana.
Thank you so much, Dean Y. What an honor. Congratulations, fellow graduates. First off, let me thank two groups of people. The first group of people that I would like to thank is Maine Law's amazing faculty and staff. If it weren't for your help, my classmates and I would not be graduating today. And let me selfishly get personal here. I want to thank Professor Anna Welsh for always being there for me when I was discouraged and for always reminding me of why I came to law school in the first place. And I also want to thank Professor Jeff Taylor for being a compassionate teacher, advisor, and a friend all in one. And finally, I would like to thank Dean Conway. Words can't do me justice, but Dean Conway has been like my own mama. And I know many of you, my fellow graduates, can say the same of many people on this stage. The other group of people that I would like to thank is our families and friends who helped us get here. Thank you so much for helping us see the importance of education and for supporting us along the way. Maine Law Class of 2018, will you please help me show those people our appreciation? Thank you. I'm perhaps the only class speaker in the history of this time-honored tradition at Maine Law who's not graduating with honors. I think that grades in law school are overrated. Please do not turn off the microphone. But in all seriousness, I'm truly honored for the opportunity to speak with you on this important day of our lives. I was very reluctant to compete for this honor because I do not consider myself to have any wisdom to impart. But now that you have bestowed this undeserved honor on me, I would like to use the opportunity to challenge you. And my challenge to you is this. Whatever you decide to do, I hope you can remember that I was your classmate and strive to build a world that is fair and just for people like me. And here is why. Thank you. So here is why. America is still the greatest nation on earth. Juris Doctor is still a powerful degree. And as society's newest leaders, I would urge you to embrace that role and be the moral leaders of not just wherever you end up living, but also for the world. If you fail us, the world remains as flat and interdependent as ever, and we will end up at your doorstep. Proof, Exhibit A. Felix Hagenimana. I rest my case. I was born in a small African country called Rwanda. Historically, Rwanda had 3 ethnic groups. There had been conflicts throughout the history of Rwanda between these 3 ethnic groups, Hutus, Tutsis, and Twa. And on the morning of April 7, 1994, I became a witness and survivor of one of the worst genocides the world has ever seen. That morning, my uncle told me that the airplane of the president had been shot down and that he was afraid that Hutus were going to kill us. Being a very naive, optimistic, 12-year-old child that I was, and still am in many ways, I said it was not possible that they could do that. But that very day, a big group of people came to our house. My uncle tried to escape and they chased him. When he surrendered, they murdered him, and I had to run to save my life. I joined a big group of fleeing people, and we gathered at a nearby church. The church usually accommodated 300 people, but this time, a little over 4,000 people pressed inside its walls, seeking safety and refuge. Lying down was not possible, nor could all of us sit down. We agreed to take turns sitting down. Thirst became intolerable, as did the heat. On the 3rd day, murderers who had surrounded the church with all kinds of weaponry began to do their job. The instincts of self-preservation, of self-defense, of pride had all left us. We surrendered to our tormentors. In the midst of the killings, by some weird reflex, I fell to the floor, and the killers thought that I was dead. Later that stormy night, I heard the person moving. Not sure if he was surrendering his last breath. I grabbed his legs, and he helped me get out of that pile. And for the next 3 months of hiding, we survived on sugarcane and dirty water. After those 3 months, my friend's feet began to swell from the cold, and he could not stand on them anymore. He told me that he was too tired of trying to save his miserable life, wished me good luck, and told me that he was going to find someone to kill him. Being sure that I could not survive on my own, I decided to go with him. And it was then that we learned that the Rwandan genocide had stopped. The Rwandan genocide lasted a little over 3 months, and close to 1 million people were killed because of their ethnicity. I later learned that of the many people who sought refuge at the church, a little over 4,000, only a handful of us survived, which convinced me that I had to use my life to do what so many were denied a chance to do good and help others. Having gone through that rough experience, I later found myself dreaming of a life in a distant land where I would never need to tell my children that this was the day that they might be killed because of who they were. This journey would later lead me to Maine. I came because throughout the ages, America has held itself out as a beacon for values such as justice, opportunity, and fair treatment of all. Through hard work and the generosity of people who gave me a hand, I was able to go back to college. Later on, Maine law gave me a shot to go to law school, even though I was still learning English and did not have money. This is the promise of America. But those of us who consume a lot of media feel a sense of unease because far too often we are seeing that fear of change that causes people and nations to retreat inward to their corners instead of coming together to take on tough problems facing the world. And this is so personal to me because I have seen what happens when leaders make regular citizens believe that the other is the cause of their problem. And I'm saying this knowing fully well that nowhere in the world are stories like mine even likely. But we can always get better. It's neither just nor unjust that people are born in America and others are born in places where genocides and crimes against humanity still happen. It's neither just nor unjust that white men and women in this country have better outcomes in life than people of color. These are facts. What is just or unjust is how you, people in this room, are going to deal with those differences. Just as I was writing this speech, I was watching the news of yet another unarmed young black man killed by a police officer. I hope that this is not the kind of society where you would want to raise your children. And so befriend people who are different from you, racially, ethnically, religiously, philosophically, and listen to what they think. Also get involved, run for office, give your money to organizations that are making a difference. You have a powerful voice and a duty to improve people's lives wherever you go. Let me end on a positive note. I said earlier that when I was a child in Rwanda, I was a naive optimist. While I no longer consider myself naive, I am and always will be an optimist. Through the help and support of many people in this room, I have been able to maintain a sense of hope and optimism. In concluding, let me thank my fellow graduates for sharing this journey with me. Over the last 3 years, I have received nothing but kindness and generosity from you. I've witnessed your ability to care about fellow human beings who look different or sound different. I have no doubt that you will keep America on the right path. My wish for you is to always retain that sense of hope and optimism despite the challenges that you may face. And believe me, there will be. But in the end, let me give you 3 bonus reminders. First, remember that what you post is permanent. Second, in the words of Ellen DeGeneres, be kind to one another. And finally, be brave, be proud, and always speak up against harm to others. I hope you all have great careers. I love you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Felix. One of the customs at our commencement ceremony is to recognize a University of Maine School of Law graduate selected by the faculty as the Distinguished Alumnus or Alumna of the Year. The award, named after former Dean L. Kenvin Roth, honors a Maine Law graduate who has achieved distinction in his or her career, who has contributed as a leader locally, nationally, or globally, and who has helped advance the goals of the law school. This year, I am pleased to announce that our distinguished alumna from the class of 1993 is Hillary Rapkin, the Chief Legal Officer at WEX, Inc., where she has for more than 2 decades built a career and fostered a community. At WEX, Hillary is currently responsible for overseeing WEX's global legal, regulatory compliance, government affairs, and corporate philanthropy functions. She manages local counsel in Europe, Asia-Pacific region, and South America, in addition to the in-house counsel functions at the company's Maine headquarters. During her time at WEX, she was named the company's first general counsel. She helped create WEX Bank and led their legal team in launching the company's initial public offering. She currently serves on Maine Law's Board of Visitors. Hillary received her undergraduate degree from Bowdoin College. We are honored that Hillary chose Maine Law. Hillary, please join me at the podium to receive the award. It is my great honor to present you with the 2018 L. Kenvin Roth Award.
Thank you, Dean Conway, and thank you to the Board of Trustees for presenting me with this award. I'm honored to have been selected as an L. Kenvin Roth Distinguished Alumna, and I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words on what is a momentous day for so many of you in this auditorium. So first, let me also say, graduates, congratulations on a job well done. As I thought about what I wanted to say today, I kept hearing Robert Frost's The Road Less Traveled in my head, and I didn't really want to be that cliche. But the truth is that my path to this moment was not traditional and not well planned, and I'm looking forward to telling you my story. If you hear nothing else today, I hope that you hear 3 things. 1, be open to possibilities and opportunities. 2, seek compassion and empathy in everything that you do. And 3, trust your gut, because you know yourself best. Now, before I tell you my story, I want to acknowledge the law school, as it is the foundation of my story. Over the years, I've developed a strong and unique partnership with the law school, joining the board in 2015 just as Dean Conway was joining our community. I've hired interns, externs, and been intimately involved in the compliance certificate program that my company WEX sponsors. It's the first of its kind in the state and one of only a few programs like this in the country, and we're very proud to be associated with it. But my most important and personal connection to the law school, for which I will be eternally grateful, is that this is where I met my husband 25 years ago, at the Maple auction, actually. Things do happen there. So he's my secret weapon for success, and although I've been asked many times why so many lawyers marry other lawyers, I simply answer, lucky, I guess. So my career story also begins with the law school as the backdrop. I graduated from law school 25 years ago, which hardly seems possible, ready to launch my career after a lifetime of learning and ecstatic to accept a job at a boutique firm in Portland. Well, not exactly. And law firm life didn't really pan out for me the way I had thought it would. But I joined the firm because I got a job offer. And that's what you do when you have debt. You take the job that's offered. But in my gut, I knew that it wasn't the right move for me. So after 2 years of firm life, with many disappointments, I decided that perhaps I'd made a mistake going to law school. And I decided to pursue a career in human resources, because the work I was doing at the firm was employment discrimination defense work, and I discovered that I really enjoyed talking to people about people. So I went for an interview with Right Express, which is now WEX, and after the director of HR pointed out that I had exactly no experience in HR and that I was in fact a lawyer, she mentioned that the company had just grown to a size where they were thinking about hiring a lawyer. So after 4 months of interviews, they offered me a job and I jumped at the chance. Not because I knew what I was getting myself into, but because I needed to get out of the situation I was in. I was open to whatever lay ahead, and here's the thing, I wasn't afraid because I was following my gut. George Bernard Shaw said, "Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself." And I was ready to recreate myself, and that really began the life that I continue to live, one of perpetual change and reinvention. When I started at WEX, there were about 175 people, and I was the first and only lawyer. We sold fleet cards in the U.S. and had revenues of less than $40 million. Fast forward 22 years, and we are now at $1.25 billion in revenue, publicly traded, with over 3,300 employees around the world, and we sell a range of products also worldwide. As Dean Conway mentioned, I oversee WEX's legal, regulatory compliance, and government affairs functions. I manage local counsel in Europe, Asia Pacific, Latin America, and our in-house counsel at our Maine headquarters. It's been an incredible journey. Constant change, constant challenge, constant learning. And I wouldn't change a minute. Well, there's probably a few minutes that I'd change, but overall, I've created a really gratifying career. I didn't always know what I was doing. When we went public, I asked lots of questions, I did lots of reading, and I made myself the bridge between the lawyers who knew the technical aspects of the law and myself who knew the law and the business. I'm never afraid to admit that I don't know something, but I only do that once, because I learn. I'm pretty certain I have one of the best jobs of anyone in my graduating class, and it's fair to say that I didn't find this job, I created this job. And I say this not with the spirit of a braggart, but with a sense of wonder and gratitude for the fact that I was able to pick my head up off my desk so many years ago and start over and do it again. A sense of wonder and gratitude that we can all do that again and again. I hope you will have wonder and gratitude for all the many places your law degree will take you. Find that place and then decide to learn more and create more meaning. Over the years, I've learned so much about myself. I know that I'm more of a leader than a lawyer. I've learned how not just to find problems, but to put forward solutions. I've learned that building relationships is critical for success, something that wasn't a focus when I was in law school. You all have probably had a lot more of these types of skills in your current curriculum, but I want to emphasize the criticality of listening, being empathetic, and being authentic. Here comes point number 2. Because of the fact that I passionately, and yes, often with a lot of emotion, seek compassion in everything that I do, I was given the chance to lead our Human Resources Department for 5 years. Now I also lead corporate philanthropy, simply because it's something that I'm passionate about. WEX has given me the opportunity to take what I learned in law school and add to that. I've been given opportunities because I care and because I wasn't afraid to show that I cared. At WEX, we espouse bringing your whole self to work, all the emotions, the joys, the fears. We mix it all up, and it creates something really great, a great place to work, a lot of satisfaction. Compassion not only works in creating a great corporate culture, but helps with negotiating skills and building relationships with new management members post-merger, when it really matters. They don't teach empathy and compassion in law school, at least they didn't when I graduated. But by acting authentically, I've created my own brand of leadership, and it's turned out pretty well. My last point, threaded throughout, so hopefully you've heard it, is about trusting your gut, which is something I did not do when I accepted my first job at that law firm. We've all done this. We've done something or made a decision that we knew wasn't the right one. You maybe stayed with somebody too long, or you plowed ahead with something that you felt funny about. Instead, I urge you to trust your gut implicitly. No one knows you better than yourself, and you have so much to learn from yourself. To reinvent myself again and again, I've had to embrace continuous learning, which is what each of you did when you matriculated in law school. You took on a whole new chapter of your formal education. You know how to do this. So be open, be compassionate, be authentic, and trust your gut as you make your own way. Make time for the things and the people that you love. Thank you for this award. I am deeply honored, humbled, and happy to accept it.
Congratulations, Hillary. It is now my great honor to introduce our keynote speaker, the Honorable John Woodcock, Jr. Judge Woodcock is a senior United States District Judge for the District of Maine. Judge Woodcock, a Bangor native, received his bachelor's degree from Bowdoin College in 1972 and his master's degree from the London School of Economics in 1973. He graduated from the University of Maine School of Law in 1976. With his JD from Maine Law, Judge Woodcock returned to Bangor, where he served in the District Attorney's Office. He was in private practice in Bangor for over 2 decades. Judge Woodcock's commitment to public service has extended beyond the bench and bar. He has continued his family's tradition of community involvement, supporting and engaging with a wide range of institutions. He is an active and long-standing member of the Maine Law Board of Visitors. Judge Woodcock was confirmed in 2003 to the United States District Court. He served as Chief Judge for the District of Maine from 2009 to 2015. He has served on 3 judicial conference committees, the Committee on Defender Services, the Budget Committee, and the Advisory Committee on the Rules of Evidence. Please join me in welcoming this year's keynote speaker, Judge John Woodcock, Jr.
I was trying to think of how I felt in 1976 when I sat in your seat. And I think the way I felt was, oh, I made it. So congratulations, you all made it. And congratulations to the people here, because their achievement is your achievement. Each year, a federal trial judge gets to choose 2 law clerks to serve in chambers for the oncoming year. As you might suspect, these positions are highly sought after, and they're prized by law students. And when the federal judge opens the applications, he's typically, or she is typically, inundated with highly qualified people. It is a true Garrison Keillor world, where all the children really are above average. Last spring, I opened up hundreds of applications, and after careful scrutiny, I'm delighted to say that I resolved that 2 of the very best and brightest students in the entire country are members of the Maine Law School class of 2018. They are Karen Legner and Bill Ware. And I'm going to take the speaker's prerogative and embarrass him by asking him to stand up and receive our round of applause. I'd like to take you back to a time and place you have never been, to the entering class of Maine Law School in September of 1973. To set the stage, the prior fall, the United States had emerged from a tumultuous presidential election, stirring intense feelings for both the losers, the supporters of George McGovern, and the winners, the supporters of Richard M. Nixon. In January 1973, the United States and Vietnam announced the Paris Peace Accords, winding down a land war in Asia, then the longest war in American history. And in May 1973, Attorney General Elliot Richardson appointed Archibald Cox as the special counsel to investigate allegations of attempts to manipulate the presidential election. It may seem that the more things change, the more they remain the same. Even so, Maine Law School in 1973 was a very different place than it is today. The law school was still very young. Only about 10 years earlier, it had been reborn under the guidance of our great founder, Edward Godfrey. And it was only the year before, 1972, that the law school had moved from its home on High Street in Portland to its brand new building, the architectural oddity at 246 Deering Avenue. We crowded into the first-year room and the classroom where we were about to spend most of our next 9 months, and we were greeted by Dean Bert Prunty, who did not give us the famous Dean Conway hug. Dean Prunty memorably said to us, 90% of you graduated in the top 10% of your high school and college classes, and I can assure you that 90% of you will not graduate in the top 10% of this class. Welcome to law school. The real story of the class of 1976 is the story of women. And it is this story I'm going to tell here today. I notice that the class of 2018 is split pretty evenly between men and women, and that would seem, frankly, the natural order of things. So it is difficult even now to envision what it was like in the fall of 1973 for the women who entered Maine law in my class. But it was a very different world. As you may know, the very first woman lawyer to practice in Maine was Clara Hapgood Nash of Machias, who was admitted to the bar in 1872, 48 years before women achieved the right to vote. Attorney Nash was a woman ahead of her time. She was not only the first woman lawyer in Maine, she was the first woman lawyer in New England, probably about the fifth woman lawyer in the entire country. The next woman lawyer in Maine, Helen Knowlton of Rockland, did not join the bar until 1899, 27 years later. Progress welcoming women into the legal profession was to prove glacially slow. This is not to say there were no female graduates of law school in the early 1970s, but women were a rarity. At Maine Law, the class of 1973 had 61 men and 6 women. The class of 1974, 51 men, 8 women. The class of 1975, 41 men, 8 women. And I'm proud to say that the class of 1976 broke the mold. We had 61 men and 17 women. We were the first class at Maine Law School to have a significant number of women in the classroom. In 1961, Eleanor Roosevelt chaired the President's Commission on the Status of Women, which recommended a series of legislative changes that affected the lives of women. In 1963, Congress passed the Equal Pay Act. And in 1964, the Civil Rights Act, which included sex, along with race, color, religion, and national origin as a prohibited basis for discrimination. Despite the law on the books and the 1965 establishment of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the gender provisions of the law went largely unenforced in the early years. In 1973, when we entered law school, there was exactly 1 woman on the bench in the entire state of Maine. Her name was Harriet Henry, and Governor Kenneth Curtis appointed her in 1973. The Maine Supreme Judicial Court did not have a female justice until Governor Joe Brennan appointed Carolyn Glassman 10 years later in 1983. There was not to be a woman on the United States Supreme Court until 8 years later. in 1981 when President Reagan nominated Sandra Day O'Connor. In the fall of 1973, the federal judiciary had only one female on any court of appeal. Her name was Shirley Huffstedler, and she served on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The United States District Court, the court with which I serve, had only 3 Article III women in the entire country. In the fall of 1973, there was only one woman on the faculty at Maine Law School. Her name is Judy Potter, and she still practices law in Cape Elizabeth. But in the fall of 1973, of 13 law professors at Maine Law, Professor Potter was the only female. The year before, there had been none. To start with the most basic, the law often diminished or ignored women. What we now know as workers' compensation was workmen's compensation, as if women didn't work. And the legal standard for reasonableness was the reasonable man standard, a phrase that really rankled my female classmates. The courts did not come right out and say it was the reasonable man standard as opposed to the unreasonable woman standard. But as far as my female classmates were concerned, they were doing just that, and they were having none of it. One consequence of the dearth of females in the legal profession was there were very few role models, and there were fundamental questions about whether the practice of law should adjust to women or women to the practice. Basic questions were unanswered, such as whether a woman lawyer should use esquire, since historically esquire in England was a term given only to men of higher rank. How should a woman dress in court? Should a female lawyer wear a dark suit and a tie, or a dress? If a dress, how fancy should the dress be? What about pearls? What if they're Barbara Bush fake pearls? Will that pass the test? What's permissible? Is a skirt and a sweater appropriate courtroom attire? What about slacks? And I've not yet even begun to talk about the most controversial aspect of a female trial lawyer's appearance, not her shoes, her hair. I won't even go there. These elementary questions of dress and address would be worked out more or less, but it proved much harder to puncture the numerous shibboleths about women and the practice of law. People made unwarranted and unfair assumptions about women lawyers, some of which were destructive at worst and inhibiting at best. There was a common assumption that even if women could make good office lawyers, they didn't have the right stuff to become trial lawyers. Would women become too emotional in emotional cases? Would they be tough enough on cross-examination? Would jurors respect women lawyers the same way they respect male lawyers? Law firms worried about conflict of interest issues. If a female lawyer were married to a male lawyer in a competing law firm, would a couple resist pillow talk with each other about the case? What would the client think if the assigned lawyer were married to a lawyer in the opposing law firm? What would happen to her law practice when the woman lawyer got pregnant? Would she want to continue to practice law once the baby was born, having invested in training and client contact? Would the law firm have to start all over again if the female associate opted to chase her child and not the billable hour? Now, I have to say, as virtuous as some of these women lawyers may have been, not one of their babies, to my knowledge, was the product of an immaculate conception. So the double standard was alive and well. Assumptions were made about the types of practice women would be interested and good at. It was assumed that women would enjoy legal matters involving children, families, and maybe estate planning, but would shy away from the hard edge of law, involving matters of business, litigation, and criminal law. As an aside, the fact that women face such obstacles in the legal profession is counterintuitive. because, as you know, the law had become the great engine of social change in this country during the 2 decades leading up to 1973. All the law graduates here are familiar with Brown versus Board of Education, Gideon versus Wainwright, Miranda versus Arizona, Mapp versus Ohio, Loving versus Virginia, and the other seminal cases that changed American jurisprudence and society forever. But when it came to women practicing in the profession that had wrought these changes, there was a strange blind spot. Equal justice under the law was a rallying cry. Equal justice for women lawyers, not so much. I could go on about the challenges my female classmates faced, but you get the idea. It was into this wall of shibboleths that the women graduates of the class of 1976 ran, and they did not merely leap over the wall, they tore it down. The record of the women graduates of the class of 1976 is extraordinary. Among the 17 women who entered Maine law in the fall of 1973, there emerged the first female federal judge in Maine, the first district attorney in New England who was a female, the first female district attorney for Penobscot and Piscataquis County, the first female attorney general in Maine, the first female United States attorney in Maine, one of the 4 women of the first class of family magistrate judges, the Chief Justice of the Maine Superior Court, the President of the Maine State Bar Association, the Chair of the Board of Overseers of the Bar for the state of Maine, the Clerk of Court for the United States Court of International Trade in New York, and later the Clerk of Court for the United States District Court in the District of Massachusetts, the Commissioner for the Department of Labor for the state of Maine, and a member of the Governor's Cabinet, a law school dean, 2 members of the Maine State Legislature, the Director of the Bureau of Consumer Credit in Maine, the founder and CEO of a major wealth management firm, the prime mover of judicial and mediation training centers in Latvia, the Ukraine, Bulgaria, Romania, and Israel, a senior analyst for the Office of Fiscal and Program Review for the state of Maine, chief counsel in the Governor's Office of Employee Relations, a best-selling author, and the director of the Maine Victims Compensation Program at the Maine Attorney General's Office. The list, as striking as it is, only begins to tell the tale. To properly round out the list, it should also be said that 2 of the very best female students in the class ended up practicing law only briefly. One practiced a short time, and the other practiced law for a while, but she's now a French teacher at a high school in southern Maine. Another lesson, that women lawyers have the right to choose what they want to do with their degrees. And if it is teaching French or staying home, exactly who is to judge? It is only in retrospect that it has become clear that what my female classmates managed to do, individually and collectively, was to destroy the myths that once hobbled women lawyers and to pave the way for the women lawyers and judges to come. I doubt that any of the women in the class of 1976 set out to make history. They simply worked hard, and they practiced well. And over time, by dint of effort and talent, they succeeded. And by succeeding, they smoothed the way. The point of this talk is not that the struggle is over. Clearly it's not, and there may be lessons to draw from the experience of the women of the class of 1976 about the destructiveness of all kinds of stereotypes and the assumptions we all make about people based on the way they look, where they're from, and who we think they are or want to be. I'll leave those extrapolations for others. Still, it strikes me that now and again as we climb the trail, we should pause, Look back. See how far we have come. Take a moment and enjoy the view. 45 years later, the view is mighty fine. During my time as a lawyer and judge, it is the presence of women in the bar that stands apart as the most far-reaching change for the better in the legal profession. And we've been taught a lesson that so-called women's issues are human issues. I stake to the proposition that since 1973, women lawyers have played an outsized role in making this country a fairer, more balanced, more just, and freer society than the one we inherited. What I would like to say to Dean Conway, to the faculty of this great law school, and the graduates of the Maine Law School class of 2018 is how grateful I am to be a graduate of this law school, and how much of an honor it is to be a member of the groundbreaking class of 1976. Today, as members of the class of 2018 join me as graduates of this law school, what we all know is that you will make history. As we grow old, the everyday acts of just plain living ripen into history. And for lawyers, just plain practicing law has a ripple effect on society writ large, whether your practice is as general attorney or attorney general. The cases you accept, the businesses you incorporate, the estates you probate, the clients you choose, the fights you join, all matter to all of us. And in the fullness of time, it is my wish that the members of the class of 2018 will look back individually and collectively and conclude with pride that you've helped make your country and state a better, more just place for more people. As an aside, although today my talk has been mostly about the women graduates, a word to the male law graduates of the class of 2018, we did just fine too. I have a final thought. I was recently in Washington, D.C., and on the way to the airport, I had a discussion with a driver who came from India and emigrated to the United States. I did not tell him what I did for work, but I asked him, what in your view is the most important difference between India and the United States that caused you to leave India and start a new life here? He gave me an answer that surprised me. He said, the justice system. In India, he said, the justice system is corrupt, delayed, and not transparent. Here in the United States, it is the justice system, he said, that makes all the difference. It is open, unbiased, and judges are willing to rule against the powerful. We tend to take our justice system for granted. We should not. It is, as Alexander Hamilton wrote, the least dangerous branch because it wields neither the power of the sword nor the power of the purse. But the judicial branch is simultaneously fragile and enduring. It is vulnerable for the reasons that Hamilton described and more, but it is also resilient. And it remains so because our judicial system is grounded on public trust. As new lawyers, you are about to assume a vital role in our system of justice. The judicial branch resembles the famous statue of Lady Justice, who is blindfolded, but in truth, Lady Justice is not only blind, she is partially mute. A judge may speak, but once. Then there must be silence. To defend the integrity of our judicial system, it is up to the public, and particularly up to the lawyers. For as lawyers, you are the Praetorian Guard of the Palace of Justice. American justice is precious, it is vulnerable, and it relies on others to stand up and defend it. Oh yes, I did give the driver a nice tip. Your tip, as lawyers, will come in maintaining the judicial system that you inherited and preserving it for generations to come. And therefore, our justice system represents to you both an inspiration and a challenge. What I hope for the graduates here today is that 45 years from now, you will look back upon your work as lawyers, on the careers of the members of your class, on the continued excellence of this great law school, and on our enduring system of justice with the same pride that I feel today. Congratulations.
That was simply amazing. Thank you, Judge Woodcock. Part of the tradition at Maine Law is to recognize student excellence and achievement. Our faculty engages in a rigorous selection process to identify those students who best embody the characteristics in several distinguished student awards. To present these awards, I am pleased to introduce Associate Legal Writing Professor and Chair of the Awards Committee, my colleague, Sarah Wolf.
Good morning. It is a privilege to present graduation awards to members of this extraordinary class of 2018. I feel like that's a phrase that's going to be said several times, extraordinary class of 2018, but it's true. I ask that each award recipient please stand when I announce your name and turn to face the audience for a moment so your friends and family can take a photo before taking your seat again. We begin with the Scholastic Achievement Awards. These awards recognize outstanding academic performance in selected areas of the Maine law curriculum. The award winners are selected from among those graduating students nominated by Maine law faculty for academic excellence, achievement, and interest in the select area of law. We start with Maine Law's Scholastic Achievement Awards in substantive areas of law, beginning with the Commercial Law Award. The winner of this year's award is Ariel Pardee. Next is the Corporate Business Law Award. This year's winner, Matthew Kenneth Simone. We are pleased to give the Criminal Law and Criminal Procedure Award to Alec Nicole Youngblood. The Environmental Law Award goes to Casey Elizabeth Webster. We give the Family, Juvenile, and Elder Law Award to Carolyn Ann Liegner. This year's recipient of the Health Law Award is Bonnie Lynn Ball. Next is the Immigration Law Award. This year, we are honored to present this award to two extraordinary graduates, so please hold your applause until I announce both names. Joanne Bautista and Sarah Paula Cressy. The Information Privacy Law Award goes to Ariel Pardee. This year's recipient of the Intellectual Property Law Award is Joseph Adam Green. We're pleased to give the International Law Award to Kelsey C. Doan. The recipient of this year's Maritime and Oceans and Coastal Law Award is Ishtiaq Ahmed. And the Tax Law Award goes to Nathan Alexander Thistle. Next, we present the American Bankruptcy Institute Medal of Excellence. This award, sponsored by the American Bankruptcy Institute, is awarded to a member of the graduating class for excellence in the study of bankruptcy law or other indicia of bankruptcy scholarship, or who demonstrates greatest promise for a career in bankruptcy practice. This year's recipient is Matthew Kenneth Simone. We now turn to Scholastic Awards in Legal Writing and Oral Advocacy. There are 5 awards in this category. The first award is the Wernick Prize for Legal Writing. This award is presented for the best legal scholarship submitted by a graduating 3L student anytime during his or her 1L, 2L, or 3L years, selected from among nominated legal scholarship. The winner of this year's Wernick Prize for his article published in the Maine Law Review entitled Tax Increment Financing in Maine is Michael G. Walker. Next, we present the Upper Level Writing Award. This award is presented for the best upper-level writing project by a graduating 3L student selected from among nominated scholarship for work submitted in either the 2L or 3L years to satisfy the upper-level writing requirement. This year's winner for her article published in Texas Tech Administrative Law Journal and entitled Playing with Fire, Drone Incursions into Wildfire Suppression Operations and the Regulatory Challenges to Reducing Their Risks, is Brooke Catherine Coleridge. Unfortunately, Ms. Coleridge could not be here today. The next award is the Clinical Legal Education Award. This award is presented to a student nominated by the Clinical Faculty for Excellence in Clinical Fieldwork based on ethical and high-quality representation provided to clients and the community, and for exemplary thoughtfulness in exploring lawyering issues and skills in an accompanying seminar. This year's winner is Barrett Allen Littlefield. Next is the Faculty Award for Trial Advocacy. This award is presented to a graduating 3L student for outstanding performance in trial advocacy courses. The recipient is Grant Stephen Whalen. Finally, in this category, we present the Janeau Award for Appellate Advocacy. This award is presented to a graduating 3L student for demonstrated excellence in appellate advocacy skills through moot court, clinical practice, or other curricular or extracurricular programs. This year's recipient is Shannon Marie Flaherty. We now turn to the awards for outstanding service to the law school and community. These awards are presented to members of the graduating class for outstanding contributions in service to the law school and the community. The Faculty Award for Community Service is presented to the graduating 3L student who, in the estimation of the faculty, has done significant work in bringing together the law school community and the community at large. This year, we honor 2 recipients, Isaac Paul McMahon and Noelle Elizabeth Sidorek. am now pleased to introduce John Fogarty to present the Diana DeJesus Student Bar Association Distinguished Student Award, Service Award, excuse me. Mr. Fogarty has just completed his second year at Maine Law and is the current president of the Maine Law Student Bar Association. John?
Thank you, Professor Wolf. When Dean Yang informed me that I was the one who was supposed to present this award, I figured I should open with a joke. I've been to a couple law school graduations before, and the most notable thing were the ridiculous hats that everybody had to wear. So I figured since I wasn't graduating, there was no way I was going to have to wear one. Guess the joke is on me. But I do have to say, Professors Maine and Davik, they look best on you. It's simply a coincidence that you will have me in class next semester. The Diana DeJesus SBA Distinguished Service Award is awarded by the Student Bar Association to a member or members of the graduating class for their superior service to the law school. The award is named for Diana DeJesus, a member of the class of 2013, because of her work on behalf of the student body and her superior service to the law school community. This year we have 2 recipients, which speaks to the caliber of people that make up the class of 2018. I've had the distinct pleasure of working with and getting to know many of the members of the graduating class, including the 2 recipients of this year's SBA Distinguished Service Award. I will now announce both recipients and then take a few moments to describe just some of the service that they have provided to the law school. When I announce the names of the winners, I ask that they please stand to be recognized. Without further ado, the recipients of the 2018 Diana DeJesus SBA Distinguished Service Award are Nona Gillis and Joanne Bautista. First, Nona Gillis. Nona has played a major role in the success of the SBA over the course of her law school career. She served in many different roles, including vice president, class representative, and bylaws committee chair. In these different roles, she revamped the way student groups interact with SBA. She organized, streamlined the process by which SBA stores, sells, and manages clothing sales. As the bylaws committee chair, she completely overhauled the SBA bylaws, which many before her were unsuccessful in accomplishing. Above all, however, she brought a respectful determination and drive to each and every SBA meeting, which set the tone for civil discourse within those meetings. The work she put in behind the scenes will benefit the law school for years to come. And this award is a small token of our appreciation. It is my honor to present this award to Nona Gillis. Now for Nona's counterpart, Joanne Bautista. Joanne has contributed to the law school in many different ways. She's been an admissions fellow for the past 2 years, which she welcomed prospective students to the Maine law community and showed them what Maine law is all about. The admissions office could not have chosen a better representative to inform and recruit new waves of law school students. Her sincerity, candor, and gentle drive has set an example for many aspiring lawyers. She has also been an essential part of the Refugee and Human Rights Clinic. She has been a tireless advocate for those who need it the most, whether that be here in Maine or in Galveston, Texas, where she helped women and children who were detained at one of the country's largest immigration detention centers. She has devoted her law school career and her career after she graduates to working in immigration law. She embodies the Maine law spirit and personifies that spirit every day. Anyone who knows Joanne will testify to the kindness, authenticity, and willpower that defines her. It is my honor to present this award to Joanne Bautista.
Thank you, John. The next award is the Edward S. Godfrey Leadership Award. This award is presented to the graduating 3L student who, in the estimation of the faculty, has made the most significant contribution to a student-edited law journal during his or her years at the law school. This year's winner is Isaac Paul McMahon. We next present the National Association of Women Lawyers Outstanding Law Student Award. This award is presented to the graduating 3L student, male or female, who has, among other things, contributed to the advancement of women in society, promoted issues and concerns of women in the legal profession, exhibited motivation, tenacity, and enthusiasm, and demonstrated high academic achievement. This year's awardee is Hani Henrika Pastinen. Now here to present the final award in this category, the Maine State Bar Association Pro Bono Student Award, I take great pleasure in calling on Susan B. Driscoll, the current president of the Maine State Bar Association. She is a partner at the law firm of Bergen Parkinson, where she specializes in litigation, appellate practice, administrative practice, arbitration, and mediation. Ms. Driscoll.
Good morning. The Maine State Bar Association Pro Bono Student Award is presented to the graduating student whose law-related service to the community without compensation or education credit exemplifies the legal profession's tradition of pro bono service. This year's recipient has been passionate about public service and social justice since long before he enrolled at Maine Law. After graduating summa cum laude from the University of Southern Maine in 2010, this person played an active role in several social justice efforts, including the successful campaign to save Portland's Congress Square from privatization. He interned with Food and Water Watch in Portland, working with the organization on public access to water locally and banning fracking waste in Connecticut. And while employed by Bayside Bowl, he organized in 2 consecutive years a single-day music festival with over 30 participating musicians, all proceeds from which were used to benefit local charities. In law school, this individual has been similarly generous with his time and energy. Following his first year, he devoted almost 250 hours of his personal time to volunteering with Pine Tree Legal Assistance and assisting with their representation of low-income clients. He also spent 8 months working as an unpaid part-time intern with Maine's Justice Action Group, supporting their efforts to ensure that all Maine people have access to civil justice. His law-related service to the community truly exemplifies the legal profession's pro bono service tradition and makes Nigel A. Stevens a most deserving recipient of this year's Maine State Bar Association Pro Bono Student Award. Congratulations, Nigel. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Driscoll. Finally, we turn to the awards of overall achievement. These awards are for outstanding overall achievement during the students' years at Maine Law. There are 4 awards. The first is the Faculty Significant Achievement Award. This award is presented to those members of the graduating class whose academic performance and overall contribution to the school have been most significant. We have 5 award recipients this year, so please hold your applause until I've read all of the names, and awardees should remain standing until I have read all of the names. Katie Josephine Bressler. Cyrus Endymion Cheslick. Nicole Lynn Mason. Casey Mitchum Olson. And William J. Wearer. Next is the ALI CLE Scholarship and Leadership Award. This award is presented to a student in the graduating class who best represents a combination of scholarship and leadership. This year's winner is Bonnie Lynn Ball. The Faculty Scholastic Achievement Award. This award is presented to the member of the graduating class who has achieved over the course of 3 years of legal studies the highest academic average. we are proud to give this award to Joshua Thomas Avery. The final award is the University of Maine School of Law Foundation Alumni Award. The Maine Law Foundation Alumni Award is awarded to the member of the graduating class who, in the estimation of the faculty, is an outstanding member of the class. This year, we are honored to present this award to Sarah Paulia Cressy. Please join me again in congratulating our award winners, as well as all of the members of our extraordinary class of 2018.
Congratulations, award recipients. Now I have the honor of asking my distinguished faculty colleague, Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Professor of Law, Dimitri Baum, to present the graduates of the class of 2018. Please join me in welcoming Associate Dean Baum.
The members of the graduating class have satisfactorily completed all the academic requirements for the degrees of Juris Doctor or Doctor of Juridical Science. They come properly recommended by the faculty. I therefore have the honor to present them. Class of 2018, please rise. Because he has been honored as Law Teacher of the Year by the Class of 2018, Visiting Associate Professor of Law Anthony Maffa will now present the diplomas to the graduates. Your hooding will be done by Clinical Professor of Law Christopher Northrup. Please come forward as I call your name. Ishtiaq Ahmed. Spencer Allen. Joshua Thomas Avery, summa cum laude. Bonnie Lynn Ball, Jr., magna cum laude. Joanne Bautista, cum laude. Vanessa Hydrun Bean. Eric Ryan Benson, cum laude. Selena Caitlin Bernhardt, magna cum laude. Nora Ruth Bosworth, summa cum laude. Katie Josephine Bressler, summa cum laude. Cyrus Endymion Chaslak, magna cum laude. Christopher Luis Contreras. Emily Grace Kramer, cum laude, Information Privacy Certificate with honors. Sarah Paulia Cressy, summa cum laude. Andrew Tucker Durstein, cum laude. Kelsey C. Doan, cum laude. Matthew Connor Eaton, cum laude. Mark Turi Elliott. Jared Edward Cleburne Escobar. Mary Catherine Esty. Sean Peter Flaherty, cum laude. Shannon Marie Flaherty, cum laude. Joseph Douglas Foltz, cum laude. Haruka Ann Fujimaki, cum laude. Bryn Alice Dyson Gallagher. David Jacob Geiger, cum laude. Nona Elizabeth Gillis, cum laude. Louis Auguste Gerlando. Tara Michelle Golson. Joseph Adam Green, cum laude. Tyler Charles Hadiniak, cum laude. Felix Rene Haganimana. Carissa Dolores Hanratty, Information Privacy Certificate with Honors. Anthony Joseph Hansen. Alexandra Ann Harriman, magna cum laude. Nils Peter Jensen, cum laude. Jana Lee Kenny, cum laude. Amanda Jade LaBelle, cum laude. Rebecca Ann LaPierre, magna cum laude. Tyler James Lozon, magna cum laude. Ian Michael Larrere. Carolyn Ann Liegner, magna cum laude. Barrett Allen Littlefield, cum laude. Cody Bradford Mason, magna cum laude. Nicole Lynn Mason, magna cum laude. Isaac Paul McMahon. Sally Meredith, cum laude. Anna Mikhailina, cum laude. Joy Samantha Nafee, cum laude. Casey Mitchum Olson, summa cum laude. Ariel Pardee, magna cum laude, information privacy certificate with honors. Alex Stephen Parker, magna cum laude. Hani Henrika Pastanen, magna cum laude. Kurt Charles Peterson, cum laude. Sarah Elizabeth Scola. Reliria Shazo Sharifi. Noelle Elizabeth Sidoric, magna cum laude. Matthew Kenneth Simone, cum laude. Kimberly Brissette Sinclair. Nigel A. Stevens. Erin Christine Swanson, cum laude. Stephen Michael Sweat. Nathan Alexander Thistle, magna cum laude. Taylor Courtney Ventry, cum laude. William J. Ware, summa cum laude. Michael G. Walker, magna cum laude. Casey Elizabeth Webster, cum laude. Casey Marie Weed, cum laude. Grant Stephen Whalen, cum laude. Thomas Jeremy Williams. Alec Nicole Youngblood, magna cum laude. He's going to say his name again. Well, congratulations, class of 2018. We'll miss you guys.
Right. On behalf of the University of Maine system, the University of Southern Maine, and their administration, our faculty and staff of the University of Maine School of Law, I extend heartfelt congratulations to you, the class of 2018. I ask the audience remain seated until graduates, faculty, and podium guests have proceeded into the lobby. The 2018 annual commencement of the University of Maine School of Law has adjourned.